Hi there, it's Larry Lurcy. Welcome back to the channel. We've got a really fun tutorial today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my 1-minute drama routine that I do to images. And I think this is great for portraits. Takes about a minute to run through all the steps and can really add a nice bit of impact and wow to your portraits. And so we're going to run through it. The first time I'm going to run through it just at normal speed, just to show you that it takes about a minute to run through the whole routine. And then we will slow down and go through each step one at a time and show you exactly what it was I did. Basically, we are starting out like this with just one layer. Generally, you've already done your basic retouching at this point, blemishes and eyes and strays and things like that. So you've got it more or less retouched how you want it, and then you would run through this routine. So what we'll do is we've got our image set up here, and we will start right into it. Okay, here we go. First thing I'm going to do, copy this layer. I'm going to go up here to Filter, Blur, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Blur it down. Come back here with the Dodge tool. Some dodging through here. Just like that. I am going to take a picture, set that, come back to here. Then I'm going to here, paint it on, kind of smoothing out the skin and adding a little more glow this way. Then what I will do, make another layer, copy it, I'm going to blur this again, this one a little more blur, change my blending mode to soft light, maybe bring that opacity down, and there we go. Just under a minute, pretty easy to do, and we've ended up with a much more dramatic image. Let me go ahead and just put both of these into a folder real quick. So here is the before and the after. And if we decide we've done too much, we can bring down the opacity a little bit. Definitely has a lot more drama and snap than that original image. So that's what we did. I'm going to throw this away. We're going to start over from scratch and go through this image slowly and show you exactly what I was doing at every step so you can follow along. So let's go ahead and clear out our history just so we don't get too confused. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is we are going to smooth out the skin and add a little more highlight to the highlight areas of the face. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag this down and make a copy. So we can work on this copy right here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to blur it. So I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And what I want to do is I want to blur it to the point that any sort of blemishes and pores and things like that go away. In this case, it's about 13. You can do more or less. Not critical how far you do it, but we'll do it at about 10. Just want to make sure that any of those really bad wrinkles, lines, blemishes are disappearing with the blur. Hit OK. Then I'm just going to take my Dodge tool here. Hit O to bring that up. And I'm set to about mid-tones 15%. And I'm just doing a little bit of dodging on the forehead, both of the cheeks, through the nose, and the chin, just like that. So it gives her a nice little glow like that. Of course, it looks terrible right now. Don't worry. I'm going to make sure I've got the history palette open here. If you don't, you're going to come up here to Window, make sure history is checked. I'm going to come down. Once I've done this work to it, I'm going to come down and I'm going to take a snapshot right there. Snapshot's basically taking an image of what we have here, and I'm going to set that snapshot. I'm going to click on it. So that's telling it that the history brush is going to use that as its source. The reason I have two here is because I just did that one that you were watching as a sample. You'll generally only have the one snapshot, but you select that. So now you've told Photoshop that that's your source. Then what we want to do is in our history, we're going to come back to where we were before we started that Gaussian blur. Right back there. So now we're back to basically having two layers. with nothing done. That's just a copy. All we've done, we've gone back in history to the point that we duplicated that layer and kind of gotten rid of all the rest of that. So then we're going to come here to the history brush right here, hit Y. With the history brush, again, I'm set to normal, about 13%. I'm going to come in here and just wherever I want to soften and lighten things, I'm going to do some brush strokes through here. And I'm basically painting in that effect that we did, just like that. There you have it. If you decide that you've done too much, you can bring the opacity down a little bit. Here's the before and after. So it's just giving her a nice glow on her face. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to make a new layer right there. And then what I'm going to do is stamp all of this onto that layer. So I'm going to do Command, Option, Shift, E. And what we have here on top is basically just a compilation of all these layers. Once I've got this layer here, what I'm going to do is blur it again. So I will do Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And this time we want a little more blur. I usually go till the point that it kind of looks, starting to look unrecognizable, and hit OK. Then I come up here and change the blending mode to Soft Light. It gives us this wonderful glow. Bring the opacity down, usually to about, I don't know, 75, 76%. Works nicely. And there you have it. You've got the glow happening here, the soft light glow. And then this layer is just what we did to the face. And when you combine them together, there you have it. You can also, as I did, you could, on this layer, you can hold down Shift so that you're selecting both of these, drag them down here to the little file. Now you've made a little folder with that has both of those images inside it, and we can turn it off and on. And this allows you to take all that retouching work you did, or all that drama work, and play with the opacity like that until you decide it looks nice, if you don't like too much effect. And there you go. Before, after. Whole thing just took a minute. Might take you a little bit longer at first until you get comfortable doing it, but once you know the steps, you can go through it much more quickly. And it really is a great way to add some drama and impact to your portrait. So I hope that helps. Give it a try. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you were able to do it and how long it takes you to go through that whole process. And best of luck. Enjoy. Bye-bye.